So Renfield came out, and I gotta say, it was a bit disappointing. And I was expecting a lot more from it, especially because this role looked like it would have been a really good role for Nick to play a zany Dracula, and well, for the most part he did. And that's about the only good thing I can say about this movie, is that Nicolas Cage did play a good Dracula and did add his own zaniness to him, and that's what kind of made this movie bearable, because other than that, it was kind of really slogged to get through, because every time Nick wasn't on screen, it was kind of boring, other than the combat scenes. Renfield was okay for about half of it, but when he was trying to better himself, it got really bad. So basically this movie is about Renfield just after decades of serving his master and doing whatever his bidding, he's just sick and tired of it and kind of wants to get out of his shadow and get away from it. And his conscience catching up to all the bad things he had to do for him, which on the surface I didn't have a problem with. It was a pretty good storyline for the most part, other than, like I said, the second half where he started trying to better himself, and I guess bettering himself means getting gay, because he got an apartment away from him and he just colored it rainbow, started wearing sweaters. It's either, sugar in the tank, or he's not allowed near schools anymore. But the worst character was this cop character. I don't even remember her name, but man, was she awful the whole movie. And someone's got to tell these short ladies that they can't play angry characters, because no one's going to believe this 4'11" little angry Asian person with dowager's hump is threatening, because it's not. And having her being angry and shouting over every other character doesn't make her character more important. It honestly only makes us like her even less. And on top of that, of course, she's the best at everything. She's kicking ass. Don't matter if the guy is 6'4", has like an extra 150 pounds in her, she's flipping him. She can shoot everybody in the head like she's John Wick. She takes down the crime syndicate basically almost by herself with the help of Renfield. And they give her a lot of screen time, like way too much. That's like the only reason I really can't recommend people seeing this movie, because she's in it a lot, and honestly there needed to be a lot more Nicolas Cage being Dracula in this, because that was like the only saving grace of this movie, and he wasn't in enough. And I don't want to completely trash on this movie, and the only other positive thing I could say besides Nick Cage's Dracula was the action. The action was pretty good in this movie for the most part. It was almost its own little style of action, and what I mean by that, it felt like it had its own stylistic action compared to just other action movies. The kills in it were like gory and goofy at the same time, and it was well choreographed for the most part, and there was really no problem there. And even in like I said, in the action, there was still some like funny banter dialogue in between that made it more than just like mindless killing. But other than that, I really can't recommend people seeing this movie, because there's a lot to sit through just for a few good parts. Like every time Nick's on the screen, that's good, and the action scenes, but in between there's a lot of dialogue. And like I said, this movie is mostly about Renfield, and which he was fine for the first half, but the second half, his character, I didn't really like where it went. And even though I kind of did like the struggle that he had with like what he wants, but all the stuff he did in the past doesn't really make up for it, he still kind of at the end got portrayed as the good guy at the end. And like, well, no, you did a lot of bad stuff, even though it's for someone else. You still did it though, so you can't just wipe it away. It's just, oh well, I'm good now. But, I do feel sad about, doing all the bad things. But, I feel sad about it, so it's okay. So maybe more of a redemption arc at the end would have been better or something. At least he sacrificed himself for some BS thing. But, no, he at the end walks away like, he's the hero. And he's not. And then there's the insufferable cop, which she's in it for a lot of the movie. Almost all of it, as much as Renfield. And she is awful. I don't know why they keep putting her in movies, because she can't act. She's not funny. And she just kind of keeps playing the same loudmouth character that nobody likes. I didn't like her in Shang-Chi. I don't like her in this. She can't act. She's not funny. Just stop putting her in movies just because she's Asian. And it's really too bad that this movie, which had a lot of potential, I was really looking forward to this movie. Seeing Nick just stretch his legs and just going full tilt on whatever he can do with Dracula. But instead we got this awful garbage movie with a closeted Renfield and an angry Asian woman. Great. And it's too bad too, because Nick was on a roll with maybe not great movies, but definitely some entertaining movies. But I guess the woke agenda got another movie. So I guess I just recommend that if you're going to watch it, just watch it at home or something, so you can just fast forward through all the parts where Nicolas Cage isn't on the screen. Because other than that, it's really not worth seeing.